Professional boxing. You've had a chance to look back 6 years at Leonard Hearns. Alex, final reflections on that great bout.
Well, I think that bout proved once and for all that Ray Leonard was not just a creation of television, that he was a legitimate fighter with tremendous heart in addition to his boxing skills. His eye was closing. I don't know how much longer he could have gone on. There are two things which interest me in retrospect about the fight, Jim. One is that only the last round, the 13th round, the last one that was scored a 10-8 round for Sugar Ray Leonard. The second thing is that Thomas Hearns was in such total command of the fight that if he could have avoided a knockout or a two-point round, he would have gone on to win that fight on points if he could have avoided a knockout. Now, the other thing is, if it had been a 12-round fight, as the WBC limit is now, Thomas Hearns would have been the winner because he was ahead on points after 12 rounds.
Indeed, he had been dancing around the ring long before Davy Pearl got a chance to stop it. There's considerable speculation now as to whether or not Leonard and Hearns will get together again. One man who wants Hearns very badly, though, came at 37 seconds of the 6th round. That's the way the bout looked as the 5th round came to an end. We have here the official scorecards. All three judges had Bobby Ches well ahead at the time of the stoppage. He was given 10-8 rounds by one judge in the 5th round and by one of the judges in the 4th round. All the rest of the rounds won 10-9 by Ches as he completely dominated the bout. And what do you see down the road now for Ches, Alex?
Well, from Bobby Ches's point of view, he'd love to see Thomas Hearns or the winner of the Marvin Johnson-Leslie Stewart fight, which we'll be televising in our next boxing telecast May 23rd, live from Trinidad for the WBA version of the light heavyweight championship. The big money is Thomas Hearns. Whether Thomas Hearns, who we just saw in action with Sugar Ray Leonard, goes into that rumored rematch with Sugar Ray Leonard remains to be seen. The Hearns people are very eager for that match. The Leonard people hadn't been heard from yet.
And, of course, inherent in that particular situation is the question of whether Hearns now sees himself as a light heavyweight or as a middleweight. It would be tough, would it not, for him to come back down to 160?
When we saw him win the light heavyweight championship, he didn't appear to have an ounce of fat on him, and he weighed 173.
Yeah. All right, so it's been an exciting day of boxing here. So long now from me, Jim Lampley, and Alex.
On Sports World, it's a red letter day all the way. Rocky Lockridge, the former WBA junior lightweight champion, returns to the ring. He's waging a comeback campaign after his controversial loss to Wilfredo Gomez that cost him the crown. It's a must-win, and Rocky is ready. He's facing Dennis Cruz, who sports an unorthodox style, and Cruz will be tested by his toughest opponent to date in his bid for fistic fame. It's Lockridge versus Cruz, and futures are on the line when they meet live center ring. Holyfield, the 1984 Olympic bronze medalist, and Ricky Parkey in their recent ring battle in Las Vegas for the IBF Cruiserweight title. Texas, the sparkling city by the sea, on a beautiful day in the Lone Star State. And we're indoors at the Memorial Coliseum preparing for junior lightweight boxing. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert with the Fight Doctor, Freddie Pacheco, and those of you who were with us a bit earlier on our ringside show saw end-to-end action as Lupe Suarez, the hometown favorite, stopped John Molina, the previously undefeated John Molina, in the 9th round, 59 seconds in.
An impressive performance by both fighters, but they both gained in stature in spite of the fact that Molina got knocked out.
And coming up here on Sports World will be the former WBA junior lightweight champ, Rocky Lockridge, who has been inactive as of late. In fact, this is his first fight in 7 months. He'll be facing a southpaw in Dennis Cruz, who has been an awkward fighter, which does not make for pretty boxing.
Doesn't make for pretty boxing. He just keeps winning. I think the difference in this fight is Rocky Lockridge has fought for the title 7 times. The pressure is on Danny Cruz to overcome that experience on the part of Lockridge.
Also, later on, we'll feel that took place last week in Las Vegas when he stopped Ricky Parkey in round 3. So we are action-packed. It is all ahead against Dennis Cruz. A roller coaster ride is the only way to describe the career of Rocky Lockridge in professional boxing. Hailing from Tacoma, Washington, Lockridge made a run at the WBA featherweight crown twice, only to lose on decisions to Eusebio Pedroza of Panama. Maintaining a solid 32-3 record, Lockridge moved up a division and challenged Roger Mayweather for the WBA junior lightweight title. Wasting little time, Lockridge lifted the crown and made 2 title defenses before beating Puerto Rico's Wilfredo Gomez. Agreeing to fight in San Juan, Lockridge dominated the retreating challenger but lost his title on a controversial decision. In his last championship outing, Lockridge went up against the WBC junior lightweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez, but a slow start hurt Lockridge, and Chavez came away with the victory. Looking to get off his rocky road, Lockridge knows he must score an impressive win today.
Should you lose here in Corpus Christi, would that be the end of the career of Rocky Lockridge?
Should to be so small is a very, very large word. I don't even look at that word in my particular vocabulary. Should to me is a question, and you don't have to ask the question like that to me in terms of should I lose, if I lose, this, that, or the other. This is a mandatory win for me in terms of fighting for the title. A loss would definitely set me back and confuse me in terms of whether I should continue my career.
As far as the Rocky Lockridge we're going to see in the ring, you either start out like a house of fire, as you did with Mayweather and knock him out in the first round, or you start out slow, as we've seen in Chavez. Which Rocky are we going to see? Are we going to see this fast starter, this blitzkrieg?
Well, Freddie, over the past 6 to 8 months, I've learned a bit about the fountain of youth. And without a doubt, what that does for me from an inspirational aspect is fires me up. I will start fast. I will not wait around to see what the other guy is going to do. It could possibly turn out to be somewhat similar to the Mayweather fight in my winning the WBA championship.
So Rocky Lockridge feels he has located the fountain of youth. Boxing, Texas. We're closing in on fight time. Marv Albert and Ferdy Pacheco. Earlier, we visited with Rocky Lockridge. Now, let's take a look at his opponent, Dennis Cruz. Dennis Cruz, a native of the Bronx, is a boxer who looks for opportunity and hopes today's matchup with Rocky Lockridge will cartwheel him to success. Bringing a gymnastics background to his career as a prize fighter, Cruz's workouts draw rounds of applause from his fans. Owning a professional record of 23 wins with only 2 losses, Cruz's biggest victory came earlier this year when he stopped former Olympian Jackie Beard in the 7th round. A southpaw with a style considered to be awkward, Dennis Cruz looks for a place in Contenders Row.
You're known for your gymnastics in the ring. Where did gymnastics come from? And do you use it at all in boxing?
Well, I usually use it after a victory. I do a flip, victory flip. And it came from when I was young, I was into just about every sport. And when I got into gymnastics, and it built me up, it got me quicker. I guess that's where my punch comes from.
Are you intimidated by a name fighter like Rocky Lockridge? Here's a man that's been the champion, has fought for the championship. Does that make any difference to you?
Well, it does make a difference. Like, it pumps me up. See, in my 2 losses, I underestimated my opponent. Here, I'm not underestimating him. I know he's an ex-world champion, and he's been in there with the best. So I'm ready. I'm prepared.
You're known as a clever puncher, a clever boxer, counter-puncher. Do you think you could win a decision if you box him cleverly here in Corpus Christi?
Well, I'm hoping to get a fair shake, you know, from the judges, as I'm hoping to get it from everybody else. Everyone give me a fair shake.
Dennis Cruz looking for a fair shake. And Dennis Cruz will make his way to the ring in just a moment. And here comes Cruz. Record of 23-2, 19 by knockout. His last fight was back on the 7th of May at the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden in New York. He won by decision over Idabeth Rojas. And there's Rocky Lockridge, along with his manager Lou Duva. Rocky coming out of the shadows here at the Memorial Coliseum in Corpus Christi, Texas. The leader of the Duva stable in terms of experience. And as he pointed out, chatting with the fight doctor earlier, he says he is desperate for a win today to project himself back into the title picture. The one-time WBA junior lightweight champion, born in Tacoma, Washington, now living in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Rocky Lockridge comes in at 39-5, 32 by knockout. His last fight last October, he won a 10-round decision over Felipe Orozco in Atlantic City. It has been a 7-month layoff between fights for Rocky. His previous bout losing that 12-round title decision to Julio Cesar Chavez for the WBC Junior lightweight crown. That was back last August. So it'll be Lockridge and Cruz after we... And we are set for the introductions. Let's go to that low-key, understated ring announcer. Here's David Donaldson.
Ladies and gentlemen, main events and Madison Square Garden are proud to present a co-main event boxing for you. Junior lightweights, and it's going to go 10 rounds of boxing. Let's introduce from the beautiful city of Corpus Christi, out of the red corner, at 129 3/4 pounds with 23 wins and 2 defeats, 19 by knockout. Let's welcome, wearing the gold trunks, Dennis Candela Cruz. Dennis Candela Cruz. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from out of the blue corner, from Seattle, Washington, at 129.5 pounds with 39 wins and 5 defeats, 32 knockouts, wearing the maroon trunks, let's welcome Rocky Lockridge.
Okay, Dennis, Rocky, you got your instructions in the dressing room. Do you either of you have any questions regarding the instruction? Dennis, Rocky, I expect you to follow me. Good luck to both of you. Let's have a good fight.
Can you recall a fighter having a question at this point, 30?
No, I've never heard a referee ask each fighter if they hate each other.
As you check out the tail of the tape, 2-inch height advantage for Cruz over Lockridge. The referee, Spider Bynum, scoring on the 10-point must system. We're scheduled for 10. The judges, Ronnie Ralston from Houston, Bob Martin of Houston, Lefty Barrera from Corpus Christi. Rocky Lockridge, usually a slow starter, except for that first round KO of Roger Mayweather back in 1984. And Rocky sporting a new look. He attempted to give himself a haircut.
Yes, the head of the razor broke. Had to go to a barber and get it all shaved off. And then he found out he didn't have to make the weight because he'd lost about 2 pounds worth of hair. Rocky is not starting off slow in this fight. He's putting on some meaningful punches.
He did say earlier he was going for the quick ending.
Let go of him, Dennis. Let go.
This should be a grueling bout if it lasts. A lot of infighting between Cruz and Lockridge.
Both men scoring well to the body.
This one opening up in the same fashion as John Molina and Lupe Suarez. They were banking away for 4 straight rounds.
And again, a lefty who should be moving around, and Rocky standing right in front of him. There's no motion, there are no angles. There's just 2 guys wailing away.
And Lockridge has faced a number of left-handers. Most notable, Cornelius Bolza Edwards, who he beat. So he says no problem when confronted about the question of going against the southpaw Cruz. But the other problem is Cruz and his awkward style. Very difficult to look good against Cruz.
Certainly Rocky has started much faster than we are used to seeing him start.
Just under a minute to go in this first round. Cruz did get the left hand in.
Cruz is awkward. Just when it looks like he's just taking punishment and doesn't know how to come back, he comes back from odd angles and he lands pretty well on Rocky.
Coming up on 15 seconds to go in this first round.
Let go of him, Dennis. Let go. Don't hold him.
here in Corpus Christi, Texas, with the second round after this. Telling Rocky Lockridge that Dennis Cruz can be hit with uppercuts and then come back with the left hand. This is round 2. Scoring on the 10-point must system. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. There's no standing 8. There is a mandatory 8 count.
Both of you hold. Don't hold.
Dennis very content to fight inside. They're banging heads a lot inside. You would think that Cruz would be moving around, trying to use that awkward southpaw style to confuse Rocky Lockridge.
Most impressive win for Dennis Cruz was back in early January when he stopped the one-time Olympian Jackie Beard in the 7th round. As an amateur, Jackie Beard beat Rocky Lockridge, but you can throw that away. Here we are many years later.
It's a curious thing that neither of these men are throwing very hard punches. They're sort of half-speed punches, just trying to locate each other.
And the crowd not into it as they were about an hour ago when hometown favorite Lupe Suarez stopped previously unbeaten John Molina in the 9th round. That bout seen on our NBC Sports Ringside program.
Now this bout looks like it's about half speed compared to that bout, which you'd have to go all the way back to a Collins-LaPaglia fight that we had on an NBC fight to see that kind of sustained action by 2 youngsters who just went 100% all the time.
And later on, we'll be showing you last week's Las Vegas championship bout between Evander Holyfield and Ricky Parkey. A stunning knockout by Holyfield in round 3. We'll also take a look at that wild decision of the Ozzy Ocasio White Muhammad Kawi fight, ranked by the Fight Doctor as one of the worst of all time.
Maybe the worst of all time. Rocky controlling the tempo of this fight. Dennis content with his back to the ropes, taking a little hammering, although the punches don't seem to have any zip in them, which is unusual since this is the 2nd round. There was a first good, really hard right hand thrown by Rocky.
Cruz also appeared to get in a low blow off that last flurry. This is scheduled for 10. Final seconds, 2nd round. And we'll be back with Rocky Lockridge and Dennis Cruz. Pat Versailles in the corner of Dennis Cruz along with Adonis Torres. Meanwhile, Rocky Lockridge was told in his corner, cut out the pity pat, start throwing punches.
It's unusual to see Rocky just going at half speed, unless he just wants to change up and catch him by surprise, but Duva doesn't want to see that. Lou Duva in the corner said, cut out the pity pat and let me see the home runs. In the meantime, in the other corner, Cruz was told, don't let him fight his fight. Show some motion. He's just doing nothing but what we trained for.
Combination landed by Lockridge. We've seen Dennis Cruz earlier in his career when he appeared to have more mobility. This is 2 knee operations later, and it's not the same guy, although he has had some good outings, particularly the win over Jackie Beard.
That's a good point. 2 knee operations does tend to slow you down. You certainly don't float like a butterfly. On the other hand, it shouldn't immobilize you like a statue. This guy doesn't move away from the ropes. All to his disadvantage. I have Rocky sweeping both those first 2 rounds because he controlled the fight and because he's punching many more punches and more effectively.
Cruz has battled injuries, and that restricted him to only 1 fight in 1985, only 1 in 86. But this is 3rd fight of this year. Prior to the injuries, he's been very active. In fact, appeared to be on the verge of a world ranking 2 years ago.
Cruz is not punching with great authority either. I don't know what's happened to both these fighters. Neither one seem to be throwing earnest punches, just sort of feel them out punches.
third round. Left hand by Lockridge. That was the best punch of the bout. And he landed a right. And he has Cruz backing up.
That left hook actually stunned Cruz. Cruz fell back fighting into the ropes, but he's been hammered by rights and lefts. It's just that there doesn't seem to be any fire in Rocky Lockridge. He doesn't seem to take advantage of that and go after it. A lot of low blows going on here, folks. Cruz has landed some thudding low blows, and so is Rocky.
But the referee, Spider Bynum, has not reacted to that last flurry of low blows. Sharp right hand scored by Lockridge. Final seconds, third round. Round 4. Pat Versailles telling Dennis Cruz, stay off the ropes.
He's right there. He spent the first 3 rounds on the ropes, lost all 3 rounds, and got hammered for his trouble. Should be some movement. He should try to seek the angles that would land the punches on Rocky, who doesn't seem razor sharp himself.
Rocky Lockridge took some criticism in his loss to Julio Cesar Chavez for throwing punches at half speed. We did see some acceleration in the third round, but Rocky also not impressive at the start of the fight. And now able to land the combination on Cruz, so continues to pick it up after the slow start.
6 or 7 strong unanswered punches. Cruz just doesn't seem to move away from danger. He just stays transfixed.
What do you have on the scorecard?
I have a sweep. Rocky Lockridge unofficially ahead, 30-27, meaning he's won the first 3 rounds. Unless Dennis is looking for that one lucky punch that's going to turn this around. I can't see what he's doing on the ropes. Neither can his corner. He's been instructed to stay off those ropes, yet he goes right back to him.
Don't hold him, Dennis. Lockridge, the one-time WBA junior lightweight champion, made his first outing in that division. A memorable one with that unanimous 10-round decision over former champion Cornelius Boza Edwards back in September of '80. Rocky had been going as a featherweight since turning pro at 78. He had those close bouts with Eusebio Pedrosa for the featherweight title, losing controversial decisions to the champion Pedrosa, won by split decision. And his 5 losses also include the defeat by Julio Cesar Chavez, another a stunning loss because of the questionable decision when he went up against Wilfredo Gomez in San Juan. And he was knocked out in the second round by Juan Laporte.
Well, another day in the mines for Rocky Lockridge. It looks like he's just mining coal. He's just right there, punching away. Cruz does not seem to have an idea as how to get away from the ropes.
Come on, Ricky. Come on, little Ricky. Come on, little Ricky. Come on, baby. Come on, little Ricky, baby. Go, go, go. Come on, go on this guy. Go on this guy.
That is it for round 4. Uppercut that stunned Dennis Cruz.
Dennis Cruz has spent all 4 rounds in that position. Start of round 5. See if he's figured out any way to get off the rope. So far, if he does this, he's on the way to a boring loss.
With the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, I'm Marv Albert from the Memorial Coliseum, downtown Corpus Christi, Texas. Later on, we will show you the Evander Holyfield 3rd round TKO of Ricky Parkey. It took place 9 days ago in Las Vegas. And time permitting, we'll be talking with both Vinny Pazienza and Greg Haugen as they prepare for their IBF title fight in 2 weeks here on NBC. That'll take place in Pazienza territory, Providence, Rhode Island. Referee Spider Bynum. Minute gone by, 5th round.
At the very least, Dennis Cruz has kept the action off the ropes, and he's doing all right as long as he stays outside. They've been telling him to jab. Problem is, he doesn't have much of a jab. But at the very least, it's disconcerting Rocky Lockridge. He's not able to just tee off as he was on the ropes.
And we hear the boos from the crowd because of the lack of action.
I think probably it's unspectacular action. They are fighting. I mean, both people are going at it. It's just there's nothing impressive going on, and probably following that dynamic 9-rounder that we saw, it just doesn't seem like the action is that exciting. However, both men are giving it what they've got. There's no dog in either one.
Yes, this is not exactly White Muhammad Qawi and Ozzy Ocasio.
Nothing is that.
Because they are both landing. And in the early bout, there was rooting interest in that Lupe Suarez is from Corpus Christi, very popular fighter in this area, and he was able to stop the previously unbeaten John Molina in the 9th round. People were questioning why Angelo Dundee wasn't here with Suarez, but he was in Vegas taking care of Piglon Thomas, who's preparing for Mike Tyson. No truth to the report that Dundee is actually at the Pontiac Silverdome working with Larry Bird off yesterday's session with Bill Laimbeer. We'll be back with round 6 after this. And Rocky Lockridge out for round 6, meeting up with Dennis Cruz. Lockridge told in his corner, don't worry about the boos, just go out, do your thing.
Well, I think, pathetically enough, both men are doing the best they can. And that may be a commentary on the state of their careers right now. Because, frankly, Rocky Lockridge doesn't look sharp enough to be fighting for the title off a fight of this nature. And certainly Dennis Cruz doesn't look like a title contender when he can't figure out how to get off the ropes and use his boxing skill against a man that's winning every round, pinning him to the ropes.
And that is the goal of both boxers. The WBC junior lightweight champ is Julio Cesar Chavez, who beat Lockridge 2 fights back. The WBA champion is Brian Mitchell of South Africa. The IBF title holder, Barry Michaels of Australia. Good exchange.
For the first time, Cruz was able to land short, chopping hooks, which took Rocky by surprise and knocked him off balance.
Referee Spider Bynum just told both Lockridge and Cruz to keep the blows up. They're having a number of low blows, nothing damaging. Easy for me to say.
Well, I tell you, this keeps up, even Spider Bynum's going to start booing. It's a one-way fight. It's Rocky chopping away on the ropes. Dennis Cruz not able to spin away and fight his fight. I keep thinking that he's just waiting to sucker him in because he has got that punch that can put you out. Very low blow on the part of Cruz.
Good right hand by Lockridge. Nice combination by Lockridge.
It's not so much that Cruz is going to the ropes as he is being driven to the ropes and pinned there by Rocky Lockridge, and that's why he's winning this fight handily. It's his objective. He is accomplishing it, and why change anything?
And the booing continues as we conclude in round 6.
Okay, Dennis.
Mira cómo se mancha, está ready para irse, Dennis. ¿Qué te pasa?
When you snap your jab,
Don't
blow that no jive
Stay
sweat.
down.
Now, come on, Dennis, move what you can, but use the jab, even if you have to on the inside. Come on, don't let this guy take this thing from you.
And here comes Dennis Cruz. Rocky Lockridge out for round 7. We are live on Sports World from Corpus Christi, Texas, the city by the sea. And those who have turned out not satisfied with what they have seen in the ring between Lockridge and Cruz, they did enjoy the would-be Suarez knockout of John Molina earlier in the day. And coming up here on Sports World later on, a look at last week's impressive knockout by Olympian Evander Holyfield, the WBA junior heavyweight champion who stopped the IBF champ Ricky Parkey in the 3rd round. It was last week in Las Vegas. We'll also take a look at that controversial Ozzy Ocasio decision over Dwight Muhammad Qawi as Cruz hits the canvas.
He's not getting up.
And that is it. Off the combination. Rocky Lockridge has stopped Dennis Cruz, who is hurt.
Well, 2 short punches. The first thrown with a great deal of authority by Rocky clipped him right on the chin.
Second time out,
Dennis Cruz, everyone looking over here saying he's okay. They're letting him rest a moment until he gets all his senses, which is exactly what the commission doctor should do. Commission doctor motioning over saying he's perfectly okay. As soon as his senses return a little at a time in stages, they'll sit him up, stand him up, and he will be fine. What was losing the fight for him, standing on the ropes, sitting on the ropes, is exactly what cost him the knockout. He got careless. He was just used to being there, and then he got hit. Now they're sitting him up. They will sit him up into a bench, into the corner stool. When he regains his equilibrium and his senses, then of course he goes to the next stage, which is the correct way to do it. Emphasis in the past is always in standing the fighter up as soon as you can to indicate that everything's okay, there's nothing wrong with him.
The official time of the knockout, 1:05 of round 7. So Rocky Lockridge with KO number 33 to stop Dennis Cruz to make it a record of 40 wins and 5 defeats. And here it comes.
Now watch these sharp punches. That was the one that had him on the way, and that's the one that finished him. And it's 2 right hands right to the jaw and thrown for the first time with the intensity that we know Rocky Lockridge has, which he did not throw throughout the first 6 rounds. So in the 7th round, he musters up that knockout punch that he's got and put away Dennis Cruz.
And here's the official announcement.
After 1 minute and 5 seconds of the 7th round, our winner by knockout, Rocky Lockridge.
28-year-old Rocky Lockridge with the 7th round knockout of Dennis Cruz. We'll be back to chat with Rocky right after these messages. Just a moment ago was Rocky Lockridge stopping Dennis Cruz, 1:05, round number 7. Let's go to the ring. Here's the fight doctor.
Rocky, it seemed to me that you were punching in half speed, just bipping and bopping along there. What finally woke you up with those 2 crunching right hands?
You might call it half speed, Bertie, but the idea of it all was to lure him in. You know, he wasn't supposed to be a runner. He was supposed to stay right there with me. But what I was doing was laurel in the man and hope that he would drop his hands, in which he did, and catch him off guard.
Well, you certainly did that. Was it surprising to you that you could pin him on the ropes as easily as you did? His whole fight went out the window as soon as you could pin him to the ropes.
Absolutely. I figured that that was more or less his game plan, was to keep me right there with him one way or the other, whether he'd be backing up or whether he'd be coming to me. And what he did wrong was to let me come to him and capture him on the ropes. And like my pity pattern, which you obviously seen, lured him into a big shot.
Well, no question about that. The two shots, there were two right hands seen on replay, were devastating punches, as we've seen you punch in the past. But if they had gone on 10 rounds like that, it would have been the stinker of the year, because you just, neither one of you, he wasn't punching hard either.
I couldn't agree with you more, Ferdy, but I realized that he was slowing down considerably. And ultimately speaking, I knew that it would eventually end the way it did, because at the pace that he was slowing down, he was definitely obligated to walking into something sooner or later.
This obviously thrusts you right back where you belong, or right back where most people think you belong, which is the title picture. You have Chavez, who we already fought and lost, and you have the other two gentlemen waiting for you in the wings. Which would you rather fight?
Well, Ferdy, as hard as I'm working, it actually doesn't matter. I'd like to get back at Chavez and prove to the world that I am the junior lightweight king. And if it works out the way we anticipate, either Chavez or the IBF champion has to give up some ground.
Did you expect that Cruz, who's known to punch very hard, would not unleash anything strong at you? I mean, the 2 or 3 punches that he threw at you, missed by a mile, that were strong. The rest were very weak punches. Did that surprise you?
Very much so. Freddie, I tell you, I was expecting him to shoot his load. And unfortunately, he didn't, or might I say, fortunately, he didn't for his part. But later on, like you saw me doing, I was tattooing, touching, and luring him into a big shot.
And you got the big shot and the win, and congratulations.
Freddie, can I say one thing?
One quick thing.
Freddie, I'd like to say, realize your full potential, kids. If you want to be an athlete, give it all you got, and realize that to be a champion, you got to live a clean life.
Thank you very much.
Say no to drugs.
Thank you very much. And back to Marv Albert at ringside.
All right, Ferdy, and coming up, a look at last week's Ocasio-Cowie bout and the Holyfield-Parkey knockout. That's just a... All right, Jim, and we'll be back with more boxing as NBC Sports World continues. Marv Albert on the Fight Doctor, Ferdy Pacheco back in Corpus Christi. Now, last week in Las Vegas, prior to the Evander Holyfield-Ricky Parkey championship bout, there was a highly disputed decision in the fight matching former champ Dwight Muhammad Cowie and Ozzy Ocasio. Ocasio awarded a majority decision, which actually puts him in line for a title shot against Holyfield. Let's take a look at the final round as we called it.